Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. I mean, at this point, you should already know the drill. I would hope so, at least. One of the major themes of this channel is there's not a lot of Bitcoin left. And we've been talking about that for a number of years. If you haven't known that, hello, welcome to the channel then, because you've clearly missed about a good 800 other videos that I've been making on the topic. A lot of times we get numbers, but never very specific numbers. I'll explain in a tiny little bit. We know that there are companies out there who are buying Bitcoin. One of our major problems has been figuring out exactly who, if you will, and or a lot of times they are publicly listed and are usually obligated to make a filing with the SEC or the SEC equivalent in their country. I've been of the mindset for a very long time that, of course, there are probably dozens, if not over 100 plus companies who are buying up tons of Bitcoin. We know that governments are doing it. Governments are also mining Bitcoin. The US government holds $6 billion worth of Bitcoin as well. So it's fairly common knowledge that this is happening. One of the things that I like about all of this information and this knowledge is the actual numbers and the cumulative number that we end up getting from it, as far as how little Bitcoin there's left on exchanges, how much companies are buying, how many normal people have, how many whales have, etc., because it gives us a larger picture of exactly how much there isn't out there for a lot of people. A lot of times when people see prices rising or not rising as much as they want, that is to say, if Bitcoin's not at $79 majillion, people go, well, I guess I'll wait to buy some more, not realizing that the accumulation is happening. And or if prices are falling, people go, well, the price is falling because people are selling, not realizing that we're also getting news that, hey, there's one company that holds 200,000 Bitcoin they've been buying over the course of the last 2 years. We have new information from a London-based company called Nickel Digital Asset Management. Apparently, they're a hedge fund managed account founded by, I don't know why this is in the article, but sure, why not? Founded by Bankers Trust, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan. Apparently, they were going around and they compiled a list and they found that 38 companies, 38 public companies who have to disclose this information with people who are investing in the company. 38 different companies with a combined market cap of 961 billion US dollars are holding roughly around $12 billion worth of Bitcoin just through the company. That is to say, we've had this discussion before and some people got into arguments with me. The idea is that I have always been a believer if a company is trying to get into crypto, that they themselves would hold the crypto. A lot of times people say, well, I didn't see the thing on the SEC. And I'm like, okay, well, money. First of all, what happens is you can create a company that is a subsidiary that exists under different rules than you, is not publicly listed, and therefore they do not have to list and say everything that you would expect them to say. And or you make shell companies. You make a shell company of a shell company of a shell company of a shell company of a shell company. You make them located in someone's mailbox somewhere in the Bahamas, and then from that one, you make even more companies inside of it who can also hold the crypto. We're talking about big money here. We're not talking about oh, someone's going to make $500,000. No, these companies, for those of you who missed the news and information a number of years ago, these companies and these individual people are expecting to make trillions of dollars from the cryptocurrency market. I know the number trillion sounds almost like, whoa, that's kind of sci-fi. Hold on there. We've entered into a realm where companies are now worth trillions of dollars. Have you seen how much Apple's worth? I believe it's $2 to $3 trillion at this point. And they also have $600 billion in reserves. It's very Apple-y. It's all completely insane. There are tons of asset managers. It's not just BlackRock and Fidelity. Dozens of them who are worth over $1 trillion. It is expected that the first individual, one person on this planet who has officially declared a trillionaire will be from the cryptocurrency space. These companies, the point being, these companies are going to do anything that they can to acquire as much of this new asset class as they can, while everyone else basically isn't paying attention. It's a really big thing. If they're discussing and talking openly about during 2024, 2025, Bitcoin going to 200, 300, 400, and the illustrious, crazy number, $600,000 per Bitcoin, I don't think we're going to get there, but it's besides the point. That's just the 2024 halving. We've gone over this before. There's the 2028, the 2032, the 2036. It continues. The idea being, for every one that you hold, there's the possibility of you becoming a millionaire from that one Bitcoin. So when you hear about these companies, MicroStrategy, holding almost 200,000 Bitcoin, their goal is to become trillionaires just from their Bitcoin holdings. As we see governments and agencies and all these different entities also holding Bitcoin, the idea is that if Bitcoin does continue to rise as it's expected to over the course of the next decades, it would then become a reserve currency. If we hear that the US government has $6 billion worth of Bitcoin, and that's right now, and Bitcoin's price completely goes insane, and then the US government has like $7.5 trillion worth of Bitcoin. Random number, threw it out there. It sounds correct, like something that's going to be happening in the future. You as an individual also holding now $6 billion, and then in the future having as much power and money as the US government, these people are going to do it. This is why we see a mad dash for all these things happening right now. We always get into these discussions, and I always see a lot of people. I understand the skepticism. And I think, personally, that's because a lot of people who are relatively new to the financial world, a lot of times the numbers are difficult for them to stomach. That is to say, they hear these outrageous numbers. We're used to living in a world where like hundreds and like maybe low billions. This person's worth $1 billion. Oh, that's kind of cool, $1 billion. But when we hear the actual numbers and figures of what could be in the future, I think it kind of throws people back a bit, and they go, well, that's just completely outrageous. It's kind of like similar. If you ever get a chance, read articles from Reddit. Back when Bitcoin was like 25 cents or $1, there were a lot of people who were like proclaiming proudly that they sold their Bitcoin when it hit $2. Why? Because it was a bubble. So they sold it for $2. They made, a good 10K, and they were glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. And then there's a lot of other people saying that they sold at $12 and $25. And they're like, well, Bitcoin can't go any higher. Bitcoin hits 1,000. It's clearly going to drop back down to zero. It goes to 10,000, goes to 100K. It continues on. And this is just where we currently are. Back to the news at hand. Apparently, they found that there are 38 companies who are publicly listed holding over $961 billion worth of Bitcoin. Oh, no. $961 billion for those companies. And they hold $12 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is 1.25% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be. One more time, 38 companies who are listed and were required to give this information, who did not go about their accumulation in a shady way, might I say, wink, now hold 38 companies, 1.25% of all the Bitcoin. That is to say, if you 10x that and you do 380 companies around the world, are they then holding 10% of all the Bitcoin? MicroStrategy's goal is they basically said they want to own all the Bitcoin on the planet as well. That's just like one company as well. The point of this all being is that the accumulation's happening. This isn't meant to necessarily, I'll be 1,000% honest, this isn't meant to make you FOMO. It's I want you to know this information, especially for the future and especially for the now, because I've been in countless situations where, personally in my life, where I have friends, very close friends and or family members who I will scream from the top of mountains to do things financially, and no one listens to me until the thing I was telling them about ends up being in the news. And when it gets to the news, the price is at a near all-time high. This is when they want to jump in, and I've heard it before. Well, why didn't you tell me? Well, I would have totally I had a family member. I won't say who, of course, who wrote me something on Facebook. This was years ago. And they were like, if you had told me, I would have totally bought some. And I was like, but you wouldn't have. You would not have. Because for some reason, for whatever reason in my life, no matter what information I give out to people, especially people who I like know, they never take it. I'm always seen as like a jokester or a prankster, or, you know, he doesn't really know what's going on, and they'll put their money into something else. Not that it doesn't work or fail, but it doesn't have the same exact returns as things that I told them to put their money into. So once again, it's not me telling you to put your money into Bitcoin and crypto, but I want you to understand what's happening and what's taking place in front of you, because we're going to have this conversation again in 10 years. And it's going to be, oh, of course that was going to happen with all the accumulation that's been going on, because it is not a lot left out there. Yeah. So this is 38 companies. 38 companies hold 1.25% of all the Bitcoin on the planet. And as far as I can tell, there's definitely more than 38 companies on the planet. So I'm going to assume they're also accumulating a lot as well. These are, once again, those are the ones who are listed. So throwing that out there. Yeah. I do, as always, sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. The article is going to be in the description below for those of you who would like to read it, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.